It's the Give Back Cast, Season 1, Episode 1, broadcasting live from the K Real Estate Mega Tower on the 43rd floor overlooking the beautiful Wasatch Mountains in lovely Murray, Utah. And you know what? For Episode 1, why not have the executive producer of our show, Miss Jen Kiko-Lynn, woman large and in charge.
Hi, Jeff.
How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Can we get some applause from the audience, please? Woo, yeah.
Wow.
No, really, people, can you do better than that?
What an audience.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So anyway, let's get down to business. You have put a lot of time and energy in this brokerage, not only in the brokerage, but just in your lifestyle to give back to the community. And this is a show that profiles storytelling of people that give back to the community, to their friends, to their workplaces, to wherever the need might be. And you are a catalyst in that progress.
Thank you.
So tell me how you got from down here to up here.
Well, I know what giving back has done for me over the course of my life, and incorporating it in not only personally, but also within my business. I love the team members that it has attracted to our brokerage. And I love the community members that I've been able to connect with. And so blending my love of real estate and philanthropy was very natural to do years ago.
You are also, I would say, putting aside the, I don't know, what would you call it? The, what everybody thinks of a real estate agent or a brokerage of, we're just trying to sell your house and then we get out. In and out, right. But every transaction helps somebody in this brokerage, right?
Always, yeah. And the real estate industry is very give back minded. That's one reason why I do love being in real estate. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of us in the industry that are consistently thinking of others. I think as a brokerage, what makes us really unique is that all of us that work at the Give Back Brokerage are very give back minded. We also are doing a lot of volunteering with nonprofits that we each individually are drawn to, but we are also consistently including nonprofits within the brokerage. So, meeting with them monthly, volunteering, incorporating them in any way that we can. And that's very, very important to me. It's not just about those nonprofits that I'm connected to. It's also all the nonprofits that all of you are connected to within the brokerage. And then also our clients. So we have met a lot of the nonprofits that we work with through knowing our clients. And so they have that tie within the brokerage as well.
Well, that's actually one of the reasons why I was drawn to this place. In my history, service to my community is extremely important. And this seemed to be a natural fit. And then you giving the green light for a show like this so we can actually, promote and, red carpet all of these folks coming in, and like, for example, today we had I think it's every last Wednesday of the month or something like that.
Yeah, the monthly Give Back and Connect Zoom.
Which we will put in the comments so anybody can join, because it's whoever.
Anyone.
Anybody who has an idea. We had everything today on the Zoom call from this cool dude, Tommy from Minnesota, called in. And he was kind of funny. He was like, I fell asleep, and then I remembered I need to get on this call. And he was just his energy and his focus of being, involved in creating something on his own to help others. That in his it was don't shoot guns, shoot basketball.
Basketballs, yeah.
Shoot hoops.
It was an organization really meaningful to him. And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, he's not in Utah. So we're attracting a lot of organizations that are outside of the state. But also there was somebody on the call that actually, her and her mom are donors to a local nonprofit that is meaningful to them. They don't want to donate to organizations that are just sending crap, like you said. And, you know,
I'm sure you have the top quality crap.
we try not to send crap, but, you know, she said she had received socks from an organization and she really liked that. So I think that's what's nice about those monthly Zooms is actually getting input from people that aren't necessarily nonprofits. It can be anybody. Like you said, it's not just a 501c3. We all give back in different ways that we're able to. Being on this podcast.
Yeah.
So that's why it was so amazing that you had this idea, because this just perfectly fit into what we had already created. So thank you for this idea.
Oh, no problem. I mean, this is an honor for me. And before we go to break and bring in our guest, tell me about your own personal...
My own nonprofit.
Yeah, and the story behind that.
So I have a nonprofit for suicide awareness and trauma, and my brother and I started this actually in 2014. I had been in the philanthropy space for over a decade, and then also real estate, and I just had this calling to start a nonprofit of my own. At the time, I wasn't sure what we were going to do with it. We named it after our parents. And the reason for that, both of my parents committed suicide. My dad, I was only 11 when he died, and then I was 30 when my mom died. But the unique thing about creating this nonprofit, I was actually hiding behind it for many years. I didn't want to share my mom's story. I only wanted to share my dad's story.
And why is that?
Mainly because at that time, I think in my mind, I thought it would be safer to explain my dad's story for the way that he took his life. I thought that seemed easier to talk about. My mom actually took her life by medically induced suicide. See, it's still hard to talk about.
I understand that.
You know, she passed away 20 years ago, and for some reason, I just really struggled with telling people how my mom died.
And here you are on camera.
I know,
talking about it.
Well, and my brother and I have learned over the years that we all have traumas that we have to face throughout our life. And we all have different ways of working through those traumas and dealing with the traumas. And I think for me, by creating a nonprofit and focusing on my why of why I needed to create that, it also blended in, oddly enough, with my real estate company. And so I think that's why people can really tell the love and why I love having a brokerage, but also the nonprofit, and that it's all very authentic and who I am. And I do this just because it's who I am.
All right, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Are we ready to rock this whole season? And
We're ready.
It'll be great.
I'm excited.
We're all set up and all this stuff.
I'm excited.
And I got to tell you, I'm just stoked about this. My executive producer, my friend,
Jeff.
Jen, Jeff Evans here. We're here at the Give Back podcast premiere.
Yay.
Premiere. Season 1, Episode 1.
I love it.
And we'll be right back after this break with our wonderful first guest. He cannot get out of it. He's over in the green room.
Yes,
he is.
Are you ready, Will?
Yeah. We'll be diggins on the Will Wiggins from the Utah Veterans Alliance. Coming right up. Don't go away. We'll be right back. This episode of the Give Back Cast is sponsored by Give Back Connect on LinkedIn. Give Back and Connect is a place to share insights, experiences, ask for guidance, and build valuable connections with an amazing community. Here you can expect to meet people making a difference in the world, along with discussion topics on challenges, successes, individual spotlights, as well as introductions to our charity partners. Join the Give Back and Connect community today. We look forward to seeing you. Give Back and Connect on LinkedIn. Welcome back to the Give Back Cast. I'm your host, Jeff Evans. We have our executive producer, Jen Keegle-Lynn, over there. You moved away from me.
Thanks, Jeff.
And I have a less cute person next to me. I don't know. The ladies might think differently, but we have Will Wiggins.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks.
Super guy from.
Thanks for being here.
From the
I'm honored.
from the Utah Veterans Alliance. Did I get that right?
Yep, that is correct.
All right. So tell us just off the top a little bit about the Utah Veterans Alliance, and then we'll dive deep into your story.
Okay, so we are starting our 7th year and with the Utah Veterans Alliance, and what we do is we help veterans and their families with everything from home and auto repairs to basically any kind of assistance. And that's our main program. It's called the Helping Hands for Utah's Heroes Project. We host events twice a year. One we do in Salt Lake and the other we do out in St. George. And those are car shows, classic and custom car shows.
Yeah, I went on your website and you have some sweet cars that show up to that for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Last year it was a huge success. We had over 1,200 attendees with over 130 classic and custom cars. And so that's our whole mission and goal, though, is we're working to build a hero's house, which will not only address the homeless situation with the veteran community, but also help out with the active military members when they transition. They got a place to transition back into civilian life.
All right, that's great. And Jen, how did you hook up with this guy as far as learning him and what he was up to, and how does he end up being sandwiched between us?
Will, do you want to share that? We've known each other for quite a few years, and he was one of the first community partners that I actually connected with, and I loved his wife from the beginning. We have a lot in common, actually, when it comes to trauma and that connection, and so I think we definitely connected in that way, even more so than actually how we really did from the beginning. But I think that what I love is that he's turned his experiences and his why into this incredible organization that's touching so many different lives. So I think that that's more important, even more than how we even met from the beginning.
I would think, and I saw you guys interact, and you guys have a bond. And do you have that kind of bond with other folks in the nonprofit and people trying to give back zone?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've connected with all my nonprofits in some way or another, but I think that when you have experienced trauma at the deep level that each of us have, that there's that connection that's really hard to explain, right?
Yes,
and,
I completely agree with that.
And I relate with Will, and I could tell that from when I met him the first time, that he had an experience that really had impacted him in a way that he wanted to express that in some way of connecting with others, but also helping him heal in a way throughout his life. And I really admire him for the way that he gives back to the community. And I think that he's very modest about what he is doing within his community. And we really appreciate you at the brokerage. You have always supported us from the beginning, and it always wants us, we want to be able to, support you in anything that you do. So it felt natural to have you as the first guest on this show. But again, it all goes back to your why. Like, you truly are someone that gives back in ways that I don't know that you necessarily realize that you do.
Well, thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, let's go from entry level to where you are now. Why did you feel it important to join the Marine Corps?
Like a lot of people watching Hollywood movies and things like that, you get motivated. You think that it's all, a cakewalk, I guess, so to speak. But that was one of the reasons. Another is because my whole family has been to war, except my mom and my sister. So that was a huge decision as well. And I've always wanted to do extreme things. In high school, I played football. That was a pretty physical and extreme sport. But I've worked hard construction jobs and things like that. I've done the hard work, but I just always wanted to challenge myself. And the Marine Corps definitely did that.
Were you shipped out anywhere?
Yeah, so I did basic training in Pendleton. After that, after boot camp was in MCRD San Diego. That's the first thing you go into. After that, Camp Pendleton, and then I did my schoolhouse, which I was a 1345 HE operator.
Define schoolhouse.
So that's where you learn about your job. And it was Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. That's where I was stationed at. We call it Fort Lost in the Woods. But and then my first duty station was Okinawa, Japan.
Oh.
And that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Interesting, but fun. And then I deployed to Operation Enduring Freedom, Afghanistan.
All right, let's back up
Okay.
To Okinawa. Tell me about, you come from Missouri, so San Diego, Missouri, then Japan. Is that right?
That is correct.
And what is the culture shock of going from Missouri to Japan? Tell us a little bit about that.
In Japan, they always told me, you big. I'm like, oh, you mean tall. But, yeah, so, but there is beautiful sceneries, beautiful beaches in Okinawa, Japan. The food was amazing, and I don't know if you've ever heard of it or had it, but there's a place called Coco's, and it's a chicken cutlet curry, and that has become my addiction. So,
all right, then probably from that point to Afghanistan, another major league culture shock. And how did you deal with that?
Yeah, Afghanistan. We had our pre-deployment training, and that was in 29 Palms, and that was a wake up right there because we had to get climatized basically because it's really hot in Afghanistan, and from there on we deployed, and yeah, that.
So let's back up a second.
Okay.
So is it like summer in Vegas, or
it's hotter?
It's worse than that.
It's hotter and it's boring, and there's a lot of snakes. So if you don't like snakes, don't go to 29 Palms, California.
How does his experience gel with what we have going on here?
Well, not only is he the founder of a nonprofit, but the way that he is connecting the community. So, whether you want to support an organization with veterans or not, he's bringing together something that is very fun for the community. So you had one recently at Wheeler Farm last year. And obviously that would be a big draw for people that want to be around all these, the cars and everything, like that. But your organization just as a whole is something that I think everybody needs to understand. We all need to stand behind our veterans. And so I think that what you're doing is something that, we all need to learn more about. And sitting next to a founder of a nonprofit like that has a why like you do, like I said at the beginning, the passion you have behind that is really, admirable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate that, Jen.
And then continuing on with Afghanistan. How long were you there?
So I was out there for March to December 2010, and
7 months.
Yeah. So, and that was enough though. I had enough happen to me. I got out. After that, I went to my next duty station in Beaufort, South Carolina, and I had surgeries and things like that. I re-enlisted, but then I changed my mind because they wanted me to deploy again. And I already had too many close calls in Afghanistan. And by the grace of God, I'm still here. So I count my blessings every day. So I figured that was time for me to get out. Even though I wanted to do 20 plus years in the Marine Corps, I didn't end up getting to do that. I had a different mission, I guess, so to speak.
I got you.
That makes sense.
I got you.
Yeah.
Do they give you any kind of training or decompression or anything to come back to Salt Lake and deal with, the regular world?
So they have a program, it's called SEPs and TABs, and they give you about 2 to 3 weeks. You go take classes. They're supposed to teach you how to basically transition back into civilian life, so to speak. But that just wasn't enough.
And that's where we transitioned into your nonprofit.
And then they're like, go back to being a civilian. And it doesn't work that way. If anybody understands serving, and they would know what I'm talking about, basically.
So I have a question, Will. Do you find that because of your experience, I mean, obviously you relate to other men and women coming back. Do you consult them one-on-one are you a resource to them, or are there other resources that you connect them to?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we have a resource page on the Utah Veterans Alliance website that we also put some resources on our social media and things like that. But we don't really do any of the, I guess, sort of counseling. That's what you're thinking? Okay. And we don't do any of that because we're not licensed professionals, but I've had great talks with veterans and, other military. And so, that's
mainly why I asked you that, because I know that with my nonprofit, I get those calls often. And just like you, I'm not a licensed counselor, so I have to be very careful where, what information I give them. Right. You also had mentioned to me before your family and your why and your connection. I believe it was your brother. And has he had a big part in? Is he a co-founder? What role has he played in the nonprofit for you?
Yeah, my brother, he is a walking miracle. Honestly, Jeff, he had an accident, and this is when I was in boot camp, and the doctor said he wasn't going to survive. Well, long story short, I flew home. I had about 4 weeks till I was graduating, and when I got there, they said if he does survive, he's going to become a vegetable, basically. And so one night I'm holding his hand, and I just asked God to just help me out, and all of a sudden my brother just started squeezing my hand, and so he's been my inspiration. Why
that's incredible. Wow.
Yeah, and I mean I have a lot of friends, unfortunately, that took the easy way out, and so I know what it feels like, and so I want to help them out as much as I can. If I can change even one life, I don't even care if people hate me or or if they say bad things about me or whatever. I'm willing to stand in front of a bus for this program and give my all.
What is the process for somebody to reach out to you, and what is your process of determining their needs and how you can help them?
So we have a process. It's a nominated vet on our website. It's www.4rutvets.org,
which we will put in the comments, all your contacts.
Okay. Yeah. That's the number 4. And then you go on there. What the families and veterans would do, they would go on there and basically put the reason that they need help. They would provide their credentials, such as their W-2 form and things like that, that states that they're a veteran or that they're served in the military. We don't take any dishonorable discharge, so we're actually trying to figure that one out, because I think that all veterans need to be helped. A lot of these veterans that I've come to find out that are homeless, they have drug issues, but they have drug issues because they have mental health issues, because they've kind of been thrown out there by the government, or their family doesn't know how to handle them or something like that.
When somebody says, "Thank you for your service," do you really take that to heart, or do you think people are just pandering?
No, I love it, honestly. Like, it means so much to me when somebody acknowledges that. When I go to get a meal or something like that, and I ask for a discount, I show them my ID, and it's funny, they'll say, "Oh, you don't have to show your ID." I say, "No, I want to show you my ID. I want to show you that I've really served." And so, but no, I like to look, I guess, to the best in people. And so I believe that they're being sincere when they say that. So I would hope they would be anyway.
And I love that you asked Will that question. I appreciate your service. I am somebody that always says that to a veteran. I think that you've taken time out of your life to serve all of us and protect us. So we do need to, in such a simple way, using those words, that is a way of giving back to you in a way, by saying thank you. And I think as far as our friendship, like I said, I appreciate all the support that you've given our brokerage, our team, coming to our events, being on this podcast, sharing your story, your why. It's hard to do that. And I know, such a personal connection, obviously, with your brother and serving, but the way that you've brought all of it together in your life's work, your passion, I admire that. And, we always hope that we find a way to be able to give back to our community in a way that kind of, I guess, tugs at our hearts, right? And I know that it does that for you. I know that it does it for me every day. Every day I just feel so connected to what I'm able to do, and you are the same way.
Thank you,
and I love that. I love that. It's amazing when we connect with people that have found that in their life, and I think that it just gives me such peace every day to know that I'm doing that. And so I see the same in you. I see the same in Jeff, and what I hope through all of this and by having you on this is that other people find a connection some way to an organization that pulls at their heartstrings too.
Honestly, I'm honored to be on this premiere. This is huge. I mean, to be selected for this, and I'm grateful for K Real Estate and for the Give Back Brokerage and just for the meetings. I mean, those meetings are powerful, and I can't give enough gratitude for that. Seriously, Jen.
Oh, well, thank you.
And I'm grateful for our friendship. So
yeah, no, I feel the same.
I look forward to the future. So I'd like to give a shout out to Tim Jensen. He's my president, and he's the co-founder as well. He's worked tirelessly to get this program going with me. And I mean, the program wouldn't even be here without him. And so he's been a great asset.
Well, next time he'll be on the show too.
Yes.
We'll bring him in for sure.
He'd be a great,
that would be great.
He'd be a great guest.
Yeah, for sure.
And I do want to say, there are so many ways to help Will's organization, being a flag sponsor, which is a very minimal donation, and all these different ways. And I love that about your organization, that you've created so many different opportunities that we can give back. So thank you for doing
Well,
that.
it's not the size of your wallet; it's the size of your heart.
Yeah,
you have a big heart, Jen. So.
Oh, thank you. Well, and I love that. And I think it's really important for people to know that, it's so much more than the donation, but, you have a lot of different ways to give back to your organization. And it isn't the size of your wallet. It's definitely, you can make an impact in a lot of different ways. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for being here. Our
You're
inaugural
welcome.
guest.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks,
Our
Jeff.
first timer.
And Will.
Our
Thank you, Jen. And
Yeah,
Jeff,
yeah,
the
I
two
appreciate-
J's.
Yes.
sandwiched by the double J's. And there
Yes.
you go. Yeah, but
JWJ.
Yeah. So anyway, just such a pleasure to hang out with you and learn your story. And
Been a lot of
hopefully
fun.
the story will impact other lives. And I know there's a lot of people that come to you, but maybe getting this word out, there's a lot of people who are on the fence or they don't know how, to improve their life coming back from the experiences that you've had. And you can, give them that advice. So anybody out there that is listening to this and you know somebody or you are somebody that could use this type of basically you're giving other veterans a big hug and helping them out.
Yeah.
And
Perfectly said. Yeah.
I love that. That's very well said.
Yeah.
and we just appreciate you being here. And you know what? You're our first guest, and it's already recorded. It's going to be out in the world, and you can't take it off.
Can I say one other thing?
Yeah, sure.
So we're still looking for naming rights. Somebody that wants to help with the Heroes House. That's our mission and goal.
Well,
As I
let's
Okay.
like before we sign off, define the mission house.
Yeah. So the Utah Veterans Alliance Heroes House, basically.
Heroes House. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. So that basically it's going to be a transitional facility that'll house 35 to 40 homeless and active military veterans transitioning back into civilian life. They'll have sleeping quarters. They'll have a chef, cook 3 meals a day, and resources. They'll get a chance to have a savings account so that when they transition out of there, we also want to have a Utah Veterans Alliance village. And so we have some huge plans, and we just need the funding for it. So if anybody's interested.
All right. So big corporate people out there or some of the folks in our network who wants to chime in on this. This is a fabulous, truly fabulous opportunity for, naming rights. But take the naming rights out of it. It's just a true fabulous opportunity.
Honestly, it's just helping out veterans. So that's what matters. So.
All right, cool. Any final words, Jen, on your first episode?
Well, again, I love that you were on this first episode, and so fitting, just the way that you give back. So thank you for, being here with us tonight.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored, seriously.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
Thanks,
we're gonna put this episode in the can, and this is the Give Back Cast, Season 1, Episode 1, and this is my buddy Digging the Will Wiggins.
Thanks, Jeff.
Our buddies.
And Super Nitrogen over there.
Thank you.
And we're happy to be here. And thanks for everybody for tuning in. And there'll be awesome content coming up. And one more time, tell them how we can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so you can go to our website. It's www.4rutvets.org, and that's the number 4. You can also type in Utah Veterans Alliance in Google, or we're also on Facebook. And so, yeah.
All right, cool.
Awesome.
And Will, thank you for your service.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
has
I'm
been-
honored
this
to
is-
have done it.
This has been such a pleasure.
Yeah.
And this is
Very.
the Give Back Cast, Episode 1. Come on, people. Give us some love.